Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rox, I'm Western Tropical Astrologer, and today we are going to be talking about the full moon in Libra. This is coming up on the 1st, 2nd of April, depending on where you're based in the world. It is happening at 12 a.m. GMT time. It's taking place at 12 degrees, 20 minutes of Libra. So what does that mean? It means that if you have in your natal chart planets, or angles or important points such as the part of fortune, the north node, around 11 to 13 degrees of the cardinal signs, you will feel this full moon the most. Now you might ask, Rux, what are the cardinal signs? The cardinal signs are Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn. Who is going to like this full moon? Let me tell you. Those of you who have planets or angles around 11 to 13 degrees of Aquarius, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Leo. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. I was about to say, hey, if you have any planets around 2 to 3 degrees of the earth signs, you might also find this lunation quite supportive. Why? Because Venus, which is the ruler of the full moon, is at almost 3 degrees of Taurus in the sky. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me backtrack. Let's talk about this full moon. Let's dig into it. By the way, if you want to jump straight to the update for your sign, for your rising sign, it would be my recommendation. Just know that you have timestamps, folks. There's always timestamps in the description box, in the pinned comment, and you can jump straight to the forecast that is the most suitable for you, for your chart. I do want to stress out, it is always my recommendation to listen to the update for your rising sign, but if you don't know what your rising sign is, then of course you can listen to the update for your sun sign. You gotta do what you gotta do. These general forecasts, these general horoscopes are built with the rising sign in mind, with the ascendant in mind, which is why I make this point over and over and over again. Sometimes like a bit of a broken record, but what can you do? What can you do? So let's get back to the full moon in Libra. It is going to be ruled by Venus in Taurus. So that's, well, that is lovely, but there are some caveats. It's lovely because we have a ruler in domicile. We have Venus, a benefic, in its home, in its domicile. So Venus is working properly. It is delivering the goods. It is delivering value. It is delivering some pleasure to an extent. I also like the fact that Jupiter, the other benefic, is involved in this lunation as well. However, Jupiter is going to be squaring both the sun and the moon. I mean, the other way around. The sun and the moon will be squaring Jupiter. So we've got two benefics involved. Both of them very strong, very operational, functional, let's say. The caveats are, once again, the fact that Jupiter is going to be in a tense aspect with a lunation, so we might feel both the positivity, the optimism, the sense of expansion, of growth that comes out of Jupiter touching anything. A tense aspect with Jupiter generally can bring excess. It can take things a little bit too far. So there may be a sense of a little bit of exaggeration. Now, because Jupiter is in Cancer, I do believe this is going to be a very emotional full moon with a massive sort of outpouring of emotional energy coming in. There might be a tendency to over nurture, over protect, potentially try too hard to please someone. Now, this is my first recommendation to you folks. don't be a people pleaser at this point in time, even though this full moon is all about finding that sweet spot, finding that middle ground, finding that middle path, finding a way to compromise, creating a win-win situation. But there's win-win, and then there's also trying too hard and overdoing it. So do be careful when it comes to overdoing things. Venus is going to be in a tense aspect to Pluto, and that is a whole different ball game. Pluto brings things to the surface, it reveals things, it uncovers the truth, and sometimes that truth can be very painful. Sometimes that truth can be very destabilizing. As much as this full moon wants peace and harmony and balance and equilibrium and fairness and stability and collaboration, and it wants partnerships to work, that Pluto might have something to say about it. Essentially, there is a chance that some relationships will go through a crisis. There is a chance that some relationships will experience a major transformation. There is a chance that some of the things that are revealed or discovered when it comes to an important partnership, an important collaboration. This is not, by the way, this is not just about romantic relationships at all. We are looking at relationships in general. We are looking at contracts. We are looking at agreements. We are looking at alliances as well. So whatever is brought to the surface cannot be unseen. It cannot be avoided. We can't pretend that it's not there. And as a result of that, there may be no going back to the way things were. So here is where I say, if anything does come to the surface in your own relationships, remember that there's no way to go back to the way things were before you had this level of knowledge, before you had this level of insight into what's actually going on behind the scenes. Whew, that was heavy. I'm like, that took me a while to say. So, the other recommendations that I have for you folks at the time of this full moon. Look back at the new moon that took place in Libra last year in October, 21st of October, a few days before, a few days after, because this full moon might bring to your attention topics, developments that were already starting to evolve in your life last year in October. A full moon is always a culminating point of some sorts. It is a peak, it's a culmination, it can bring closure, it brings things to our attention, it sort of like puts the spotlight on something. So have a think about what were you working on, what were you focusing on, who were you interacting with last year in October, especially second half of October. This full moon is probably going to decide the fate of a relationship. As I said, it can bring crises in your relationships, but I obviously believe that crises have their own function, and sometimes you can build, or you can make sure that a connection, a partnership is even stronger once you know what you're actually dealing with. So I don't believe in operating in the dark, even though the tendency of the kind of Libra archetype is to keep things nice and pleasant and sort of peaceful, and sometimes it leads to not going into the depths of something, into the depths of what's wrong, what could be improved, what could be done better. So the crises can actually lead to a stronger foundation, ultimately within a relationship. There's probably going to be talks around money. And by the way, talking is something that I strongly encourage. Wow, newsflash, talking helps generally in relationships. Communication helps. The reason why I say this, folks, is because Jupiter at the time of the full moon, even though it will be in a tense aspect to the full moon itself, it will be in a harmonious aspect to Mercury. So if you feel like someone is upset, if you feel like a relationship could use a bit of a boost. If you want the partnership with someone to work better, just open up the conversation, offer space for the other person to feel heard, and being an empathetic listener is probably going to help tremendously at the time of this full moon. By the way, folks, I do apologize. I can see that the light is kind of like changing. The sun is going in and out of the clouds, and actually I need to buy new curtains, which is why there's this sort of weird situation with the lighting on my face, and then the light goes and then it comes back, and what's happening? So just wanted to clear that out. And alas, as I said, that the sun stopped shining. There you go. Going back to the full moon, family relations, and generally the interaction with family members is probably going to come up as well because of the activation of Jupiter in Cancer. I gotta tell you folks, these relationships with family members are not necessarily easy to navigate. That doesn't mean that things cannot be worked through. Big feelings are coming out. The big question here is, how can we be both fair within a relationship? How can we make things work better? And also, how can we honor our feelings and the other person's feelings as well? I was about to say, but I'm gonna jump in. There may be lots of crying here. I did mention a significant outpouring of feelings and of emotions. I also see this full moon as potentially carrying with it, because hey, Venus is an aspect to Pluto, and Pluto does not mess around. Pluto's like extreme in its manifestation. It's one way or the other. This full moon can bring ultimatum energy within certain relationships. As in, you're telling your partner, hey, you're either proposing to me and we're getting married, or that's it, I'm done. Give me 1 second. So do be prepared for ultimatums, and you might give some ultimatums yourselves. Decisions need to be made. There's no doubt about that. I do believe that money will come up. I also believe that sometimes money is the big problem solver. Now, I'm not saying, hey, just throw money at the problem. Just buy someone a nice gift. Just do something nice for your significant other. If you know you've made a mistake, if you know you've, I don't know, like kept something from them and now they feel like their trust has been betrayed, I do believe gifts could help. I will put it out there, but so will the promise that this will not happen ever again. So some people will be very upset, but I do believe that you can also resolve things by taking practical action in some shape or form. At a collective level, we may see a big sort of like spotlight being placed on financial agreements, alliances, the fact that some existing pacts, contracts, agreements, alliances may be revisited, so the terms and conditions may change. That is very, very probable in my view. Because some details, some elements that were private are coming out into the open. Also, once again, at a collective level, that could lead to the forming of new alliances, the dismantling of existing alliances, or the transformation of maybe some sort of like economic agreements in some shape or form. I gotta tell you, some people will be very paranoid at the time of this full moon, but you can't blame them. They might have a very good reason to be paranoid. It is probably because their trust has been betrayed in some shape or form, and now they do not want to risk going through the same thing once more. So they're probably going to want some major reassurances, also in the form of maybe like signed agreements, insurance, etc., so that there is absolutely no risk whatsoever that they will go through whatever they've gone through in the past, I'd say. Last but not least, families are growing. Relationships are being taken to the next level as well. There may be some celebrations, I gotta tell you. There may be. I know I focused on maybe the more challenging aspects of the full moon. I repeat, both benefics are involved. There will be people who are super enthusiastic and excited about what's coming up. There may be announcements of engagements coming in, of wedding dates coming in, of some couples announcing that they're expecting babies. So there will be celebrations as well. I do have to say though, whatever anyone is celebrating at the time of this full moon is also probably going to be quite expensive. So I'm thinking, if anyone's announcing that they're getting married, obviously they need to think about the financial implications of that. Are they going to have a big wedding? Are they going to have a small wedding? Who are they going to invite? Are they going to invite the whole family? Is someone likely to get upset if they don't get invited? So you may have to deal with issues of this nature. Again, I will flag who are the signs that are most likely to deal with these types of conundrums at the time of the full moon. Before we go into the updates for each of the 12 zodiac signs, I do want to remind those of you who have been watching me for some time, but also maybe share with those of you who are here for the very first time, that if you want to work with me, if you want to book a personal astrological reading, a personal astrological consultation, you can do that via my website, written in the stars-astrology.com. It's also in the pinned comments and in the description box. And the option to go for as a new client is the 1 hour, 15-minute Zoom consultation, regardless of the type of insights that you're looking for. So regardless of whether you want us to analyze your natal chart, look at the year ahead, so do a personalized year ahead forecast based on a variety of techniques, not just transits, just as an FYI. So I use a combination of techniques in my private practice. Annual perfections, secondary progressions, solar arc directions, transits are part of it as well. You might also be interested in vocational astrology. So how can you make the most of the cards that you've been dealt, cosmically speaking, when it comes to your professional life? What are the sectors that you are likely to flourish in? How can you fulfill your potential from a financial perspective? What are your karmic lessons in that regard? Speaking of karmic lessons, if you're wondering, what is my purpose? What is the meaning of the experiences that I'm going through? How can I break karmic patterns and cycles? How can I not fall in the same sort of like trap over and over again? What am I here to learn? All of those are questions that astrology can answer, and it would be an absolute pleasure to dig into them together with you during a personal astrological consultation. So the 1 hour, 15-minute Zoom consultation is the option to go for new clients. For existing clients, you already know probably that you have other options as well. The 30 minutes follow-up consultation if you have like a few specific questions, or the year ahead forecast if we have not seen each other in more than a year, and now you're looking to dig into the year ahead, prepare, plan, set goals, set objectives, be aware of potential challenges, navigate them with significant astrological, I was about to say armor, but tools in your arsenal. So that is another option for existing clients. Also, if you are dealing with an emergency, if you're dealing with something that requires insights immediately, if you're at a crossroads, if you need to make big decisions, there's also an emergency reading option on my website. And just know that from the moment that you book that, we aim to meet in a maximum of 3 days time. For the regular astrological readings and consultations, the waiting time is between a few weeks to sometimes a month and a half, depending on how far ahead I am booked. So written in the stars-astrology.com, that is where you can find me. That is where you can book my services. After you make the payment on my website, please use the contact form to send me your date, time, and place of birth, and I will get back to you with timing options, taking into account your time zone and my time zone as well. I am based in London, UK. Now, without further ado, let us dive into the updates for each of the 12 zodiac signs. Please listen to the update for your rising sign. Dun, 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 dun. And of course, we're going to start with the one and only Aries. Aries suns and Aries risings. Oh, my dear Aries. You are in the spotlight at the time of this full moon. So 1st, 2nd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon is putting the spotlight on your relationship sector, partnership sector. And there's so much going on here. What shall we start off with? It looks like, together with someone else, it could be your partner, it could be your significant other, it could be a family member, it could be someone that you live with. You may need to take some sort of a decision regarding your home and living situation, possibly also regarding the property sector of your life. So, in your life, of your life. So you might need to decide, what are we doing? Are we moving in together? If we're talking about, let's say, a committed relationship, are we going to live differently? So if you have roommates, if you have been house sharing, do you want to move with your partner someplace else and stop house sharing? What are the implications from a financial perspective? That is the million-dollar question. So I believe that the decision is probably going to be based off of how much things will cost, and whatever decisions you make, I feel like there's someone sort of pushing you, saying, come on, let's do this. Let's buy this house. Let's move in together. Let's make this big jump. You are a little bit reluctant purely because of the financial implications, I gotta say. So do make sure that you voice these concerns to your significant other if that is the person that you're talking to. There's also a possibility that someone might be announcing you, and again, it's probably either like a partner or a family member, such as a parent. They might be announcing you that they are selling their property or that they are relocating. So it wouldn't surprise me if a parent said, "Oh, I'm gonna move house, and I'm selling this this property, and I'm moving to, I don't know, like Spain." And you're like, "What? You're moving to Spain? Like, we're not going to see each other that much. Or if I want to see you, I need to travel. I need to buy plane tickets. Oh no." So once again, you might be thinking about the money. Speaking of money, you may need to have a sit down with someone who you live with, most likely, and talk about who pays for what. There is a chance that someone might be frustrated, or that they might say, "Hey, you should be paying for more because you are using more of, I don't know, this, and that. I don't know, maybe you're using the washing machine a lot more." So it could be something quite mundane that has something to do with your day-to-day life, Aries. But there is a person who is not necessarily pleased with how things are currently working from a financial perspective. So do be aware of that. Let them have their say, and I believe things can work out moving forward. There's also a possibility that, well, a few things. There is a possibility that the family might be growing. So if you have a partner, then your partner might tell you, "Hey, I'm pregnant. What are we gonna do? What's the plan? What will our future look like?" There's also a possibility you may want to call someone in to do something, to repair, to renovate, to fix, to update, to upgrade, something around the house. And I believe you're probably going to find a very good, competent, qualified person to do that. But I kid you not, they may be on the expensive side. And last but not least, you might just need to pay for something connected with home and property just to please someone else. I mean, if you're doing that, do it also because you want to see that happening, not just because this person has very kind of like strong feelings about you paying for whatever it is that they're asking you to pay for. Taurus. Taurus suns and Taurus risings. 1st, 2nd of April, active. 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon is putting the spotlight on your 6th house, 12th house axis. Taurians, you are so busy. You are probably burning the candle at both ends. Is that the saying? I think that's the saying. So there's a lot of action. There's loads going on. Your day-to-day work life is probably jam-packed with phone calls, emails, presentations. I feel like there's a little bit too much on your plate. And I believe you might be saying, yes, 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 I'm going to do all of this. Yes, 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 yes. Just to get people off your back. But make sure that you do not sign up for something that is completely unsustainable in the long term. Secretly, you might be a little bit frustrated. Secretly, you might want to say, hey, I'll do it, but not now. Or I'll help you with this project, or I'll help you work on this presentation, but maybe not immediately, because otherwise, I do see the possibility of you, I don't want to say cracking under pressure, but definitely you might be a little bit tired. And for good reason, because you've been working hard, you've been taking on a lot, and to me it looks like you might need a tiny little bit of a break. You might have a big presentation that you need to prepare for around this time in the workspace. Maybe you're dealing with a big client, maybe you have an important meeting around this time. There's a lot of pressure. There may be the sense of a lot of pressure being placed upon you by higher ups. So someone is being very intense, and it could be a boss, it could be a manager. Now, overall, I do believe you're probably going to smash this presentation. Whatever client meetings you've got lined up, they're probably going to go very, very well. But I think it's important to maybe acknowledge the fact that you're probably not going to be able to operate like this forever in the workspace. So if that is the case, if you have that aha moment, maybe just sit down with your boss, sit down with your manager and say, okay, I did it. I know this was important, but I cannot have you breathing down my neck in this way, or I cannot have you putting this amount of pressure on me like over and over and over again, because I'm only human. So we don't want you to crack under the pressure. There is a possibility that in the workspace there may be some dramatic changes, Taurians, happening around the time of this full moon. So maybe new people coming in, maybe major changes in terms of leadership, management, potentially a boss stepping down, or the company being sold. So you're probably going to find out what it is around this time. Is there a possibility that some of you could be changing jobs around this time and saying, I've interviewed for something way more exciting and I am ready to change jobs, maybe even to change industries? Yes, that is very possible. That is very possible. And I believe you're excited. I believe you've got plenty to look forward to. I believe you're stepping into a completely different type of role. But keep in mind that if you say yes to a new job at this point in time, it doesn't matter whether it's internal or external, there will be a ton, and I mean a ton, of learning that you have to do, and you will probably have to make that happen like ASAP. So very, very, very fast. So as long as you're okay with that, by all means, go. Geminis, Gemini suns and Gemini risings. 1st, 2nd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. We've got a full moon in Libra activating your 5th house, 11th house axis. Actually, Geminis, I'm going to be very straightforward. I believe you're going to like this full moon. I absolutely believe that you will. You might be celebrating something. It could be, it could be a big achievement, a big goal that you're celebrating. It could be a goal connected with one of your passions and hobbies. If you have children, there is a chance that your children maybe have scored a big win. Maybe they have accomplished something and you're very proud of them. You might also be thinking, oh my God, now that they have accomplished this big thing, how is that going to affect me from a financial perspective? I can tell you, you have every single reason to be happy about what's going on in your children's sector, my lovely Geminis. But I can tell you that there will be major expenses. It will be very costly. Whatever's going on, whatever's happening, it will impact your budget. There's also a possibility that you could be celebrating the fact that you've managed to monetize one of your passions and hobbies around this time. Now, that is, of course, fabulous news, but make sure that you are fully aware of all mostly legal implications when it comes to monetizing anything. So make sure that you are kind of up to speed with the legal requirements for the field, the industry that you're operating in. If you're selling anything, if you're in the arts world, or it doesn't matter what world you're in, you might be very happy to see your passion kind of generating money, but make sure that you have paid your taxes. Make sure that make sure that you are aware of what taxes you need to pay. Make sure that this is not something that will blow up in your face. Or if you need to get some sort of legal advice, get legal advice. If you're signing up for something big, if you are signing a book deal, for instance, before you write your name down on the dotted line, it probably wouldn't hurt, even though it may cost you something, it probably wouldn't hurt to get the input from someone who understands the kind of terms and conditions and the legal implications of what it is that you are saying yes to. There's also a chance that you might be partying around this time, I will say. So that's why I believe you're having a good time. You're enjoying life. You're having a good time, Geminis. You might be partying. You might be paying for people's drinks. So if you're going to a party, maybe you're, splurging on a nice gift. Or if you're going out, having fun out, in a club or anything, you might be super generous. Just be mindful of the fact that you don't have to go overboard with the generosity. There is also a possibility, I'm gonna say this, Geminis, that sparks may fly from a romantic perspective. Nothing wrong with that. We support sparks flying from a romantic perspective. But there's a caveat. They may fly with someone that you know you're not necessarily supposed to be attracted to, or someone that you're not necessarily supposed to kind of date or go out with for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe they're dating someone else. I don't know. You're gonna see what this is about. Nevertheless, there may be some innocent kind of flirting going on, but I would be very careful how far you take the innocent flirting. Could be inappropriate and it could backfire. Don't say I didn't warn you. And now let us move on to my lovely Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings. 1st, 2nd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. We've got a full moon in Libra. Ooh, so much going on. So much going on, Cancerians. You have to make some big decisions. What are the decisions about? Oh God, so many things. You're probably going to have to make some big decisions about where you're going to live next, or how your home and living situation is going to look like moving forward, whether you are willing to take a big leap of faith, whether you're willing to move into a new home, into a new city, into a new country, whether you want to buy a new property, whether you want to sell your property, whatever it is. I would ask myself, where do I want to get to from now on? Because Venus, the ruler of the full moon, is in your 11th house of goals and plans for the future. So ask yourselves, Cancerians, before you take a big leap of faith. you're probably going to feel quite optimistic about the decision that you're making, and you're probably going to feel also kind of in a good mood and generous and willing to kind of help other people who might be struggling with this decision or who might be struggling in general. There may be some family members who are struggling, by the way, maybe who need your support, maybe financial, moral, emotional, maybe all of the aforementioned. But going back to the big decision, what kind of future are you looking to build? What does that look like? What would the ideal future look like? I believe there is a big part of you that already knows, okay? And I think you're excited about it. I think the prospect of it is very appealing. But you might also think about how this will impact everyone else in your life, especially family members, partners, spouses, children, etc. If you reveal your plans, if you reveal your big decision to people, especially people close to you, especially people in the family, and they're like, oh my God, no, why? Why would you do that? Why would you take that big kind of risk? Why? Why? Give them some time to get used to the idea. Give them some time to process the idea. You have to remember that you've got the great benefic Jupiter on your side, so you might be a little bit biased towards seeing the glass half full as opposed to the glass half empty. You might also need to give them a little bit of extra time to process what the financial implications are going to be for them, if there are any financial implications. And I also believe that your day-to-day life within the home is probably going to change as well. Before you break the news to everyone, make sure that you also consider how things could go wrong or what would happen if things don't turn out exactly as you have faith they will turn out. Now, there is also a possibility that this full moon puts the spotlight on your parents and family members in general, but especially parents. Maybe one of them is dealing with either a health issue or a work-related issue. Can you jump in and save them? Can you jump in and support them? Can you jump in and, out of the goodness and generosity of your own heart, can you act as the protector, as the cushion for them if they're going through anything? The answer is yes. The answer is a big, 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 big yes. Now, the other thing that I do want to draw your attention to, my lovely Cancerians, is if there are any kind of challenges running in the family from a health perspective. Now, this is not medical advice. This is pure entertainment only. If anything happens from a health perspective, please take the advice of the doctor. So if there's anything running in the family, my recommendation would be to be very honest with yourselves around this issue, Cancerians, and say, okay, I know this is a family thing. Maybe there's an element of genetics, but what is in your power to do so that you do not kind of follow in the footsteps of family members dealing with a specific type of health issue, okay? The other thing is, you might be hosting some people in your home, or you might be traveling to see people, to see like family members. If that happens, I would be prepared. I mean, you're probably going with like great mood, good energy, the good vibes, the kind of enthusiastic vibes. And as you get there, or as people kind of get to your home, they might reveal some heavy stuff to you, maybe some challenges that they've been going through, some crises that they've been going through, and it does seem to kind of affect the mood a little bit, but that's not even the point. I mean, like, let's leave the mood aside for a second. There is a chance you might be able to jump in and help. But you might also be a little bit upset because you didn't know. Had you known, you would have been able to help sooner. Now let us move on to Leos. Leo suns and Leo risings. 1st, 2nd of April, active. 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a full moon in Libra. Activating your travel axis, your communication axis, your learning axis. this is an interesting full moon. So first and foremost, you may need to be on the road around this time. You may need to travel. You might need to book plane tickets. You might need to deal with travel-related matters. So make some phone calls, book things, change itineraries. By the way, there is a chance that the itinerary could change as a result of kind of unforeseen issues coming up that you could have not possibly known of when they did when you booked the trip or when you booked your vacation. Important conversations need to happen at this point in time. I do believe that these conversations may be connected with the following. You may be feeling to an extent like your needs and your emotions and what makes you feel safe hasn't necessarily been taken into account. You revealing some things about your maybe your mental health, I gotta say. You revealing some things about a crisis that you've been going through. You may be opening up about a topic that feels quite scary or maybe even traumatic to an extent. I know, the loss of someone or something very difficult, maybe money related, like that has a financial implication. The conversation, even though it may be filled with kind of emotions and really strong feelings, it is probably going to feel quite cathartic. There is a possibility that someone else could open up to you about these topics. You might also need to have a very important conversation with the people that you work with, especially higher ups, bosses. As much as you tried to make things work, maybe you need to let your boss know that you will no longer work with a certain client or collaborate with an individual because it is just untenable and unsustainable. And it's causing stress and frustration and anxiety or any of the aforementioned, maybe not all at once, any of the aforementioned. There's also a possibility around this time that you may need to talk to a partner. It could be a business partner, it could be a life partner. Whoever they are, I believe it is important to be very honest with them about the aspects of the partnership, the aspects of the relationship that you are no longer happy with, that maybe go against your worldview, your mentality, your philosophy, your belief system, and maybe historically you have made some compromises, but now you're no longer willing to make compromises. This can also be the time of some significant conversations happening with siblings, cousins, in-laws. Things are being revealed. Some of them are news to you. Some of them maybe not so much. My recommendation would be to not shy away from saying your part and from kind of disclosing the difficult aspects that maybe you've been dealing with, even though you know for a fact that you're going to get a strong emotional reaction from the other side. Ultimately, you being honest is probably going to help the relationship grow stronger moving forward. But you kind of like keeping mum and not saying anything might erode the relationship. So have your pick, my dear Leos. Virgos. Virgo suns and Virgo risings. 1st, 2nd of April, active. 3 days before, 3 days after. We have a full moon in Libra, activating your financial axis, and it is ruled by Venus in Taurus in your 9th house. So a few things seem to be going on here. First and foremost, you might need to pay for something. That is very possible. That is very likely. You might need to pay for something connected with your future, your plans for the future, your goals for the future. Maybe also something connected with your home, your property sector. It might be quite a big bill, I will say. There is a chance you may feel like you are overpaying for something. To me, it doesn't necessarily look like you can do anything about it right now, but it may be worth revisiting the sort of, I don't know, terms and conditions of your landlord or anything that you're paying for. You may want to reevaluate what it is that you've actually signed up for so that you don't have to deal with these big expenses moving forward. You might also pay for something big connected with maybe something that you're planning to do with your friends. So maybe you're paying for a what's it called? Like a bachelorette party or a bachelor's party, or like a stag. We call them like stag do's and hen do's here in the UK. As much as you are maybe excited to go on this trip with your friends, or as much as you're excited about this particular plan that involves your friends, I believe you're quite stressed from a I was about to say from a work perspective. You might be stressed from a work perspective, but you might also be quite stressed from a financial perspective. I think there's nothing wrong with sometimes saying no or kind of managing people's expectations if it puts you in a difficult spot from a material standpoint. I am of the belief, but that's just me. I'm of the belief that people should not go into debt in order to please others, to buy gifts, to go on holiday. And there's no judgment here, but what is the point? If they are nice to have, if those things are nice to have, if they're not essential, why create extra stress for yourselves moving forward? Is it only to like fit in? Is it to make sure that you don't upset anyone? Is it to make sure that you still belong? People who appreciate you, who love you, Virgos, they will appreciate you and love you regardless of how much money you have at a specific time in your life and how much you're willing to pay for something. Can there be an awkward conversation around money coming in? Yes, that's also very much a possibility. This could also be the time when you might be paying for something connected with your education. Now, to me, it looks like this is expensive. Again, I'm like, it's expensive, it costs a lot of money. Is it worth it? That is the $1 million question. Is it worth the money that you're paying for it? If you think the answer is yes, by all means. Is there any chance that you could get your work to pay for it? Maybe. Just ask. There's also a possibility, speaking of work, that you might have an important conversation around money with maybe a boss, a manager. I do believe you are aware of the fact that you're worth more. I don't know, however, if they're going to have the resources to approve a raise if you're asking for a raise around this time. Now, if you are in the midst of an interviewing process and you're looking to get a new job, or you're on the cusp of getting a new job, to me, it looks like you can potentially ask for a little bit more money than you thought you would get, even if that's kind of stretching it, even if it's putting you a tiny bit outside of your comfort zone. Maybe it is a good exercise. I'm just gonna say it. Last but not least, this could be the time when you try to recover some money, and maybe it is connected with your education. Maybe it's connected with traveling. Maybe you're canceling a trip. I believe you might recover some of the money, but possibly not all of it. I know. What can you do? Now let us move on to Libras, the stars of this lunation. So for 2nd of April, my dear Libras, we've got a full moon in your sign. Oh my days, what is going on? What is cooking? Squaring Jupiter, Venus is in your 8th house, it's squaring Pluto. So many things are happening at this point in time. You may feel like the spotlight is very much on you, especially when it comes to your public status, public reputation, your career, your profession. I do believe you're ready to step outside of the kind of role that you've been in, or that you maybe feel like you've been confined to. So what do I mean by that? Maybe people know you as an artist, possibly. But now you're ready to kind of step it up a notch and make a name for yourselves as an entrepreneur. That's just a possibility. So I believe you're ready to kind of like stretch yourselves from a professional perspective, my dear Libras. I believe you're ready for a new challenge. I believe you're ready for growth. I believe you have very kind of big feelings about this, and you might be thinking, oh my God, is this me kind of overdoing it? Is this me trying to do too much at once? I also believe that if you are indeed stepping up from a professional perspective, from a reputation perspective, which may very well be the case, you might need to let other people know. You might need to let maybe your spouse know, maybe a significant other in general. You might need to let your boss know if you are in the process of setting up your own company and I don't know, you're ready to resign. So I think you have to make a plan at this point in time. As much as there is a great deal of enthusiasm, you might need to make a plan as to how you're going to break the news or how you're going to let other people know what it is that you're doing next. And how will that affect them? I'm like, it's probably going to affect them in a big way. Maybe your spouse is, I don't know, wanting you to spend more time with them on a day-to-day basis. If you've already been working with clients, if you have your own business, maybe you're letting some clients know that you're going to be offering other services, or you're taking your practice, your private practice in a new direction. So if they're still interested to stay on board, that's great. If not, then you might need to part ways amicably, of course, very, very Libra-like. I think that you're ready to stop making a compromise. Can I just say that, Libras? I know you're very good at pleasing others. I know you're very good at putting the spotlight on other people. But this time you're like, yeah, you know what? No, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to do what makes me happy. I can also tell you that relationships are in the spotlight, including romantic relationships. Something is rubbing you the wrong way from a romantic relationship standpoint, Libras. And I believe you've put up with it a lot. And you've put up with it and you've maybe accumulated a little bit of baggage, emotional baggage. Some feelings. You've accumulated some big feelings that need to be poured outwards. I think this is a good time to be very open and to let it all out. When it comes to your feelings, let it all out in front of a partner. Maybe it takes them a tiny bit by surprise. I'm not going to lie. There is also a chance that their reaction might not necessarily fully please you, because you're experiencing these big feelings and they're like, what about me? But this is what I'm going through and this is what's happening in my life. I would not necessarily take that as, oh, they're not honoring or like validating your feelings. I would take that as, let's talk. Let's find a way to make this work from a practical perspective. There is also a chance, if you've been dating anyone on the down low, behind the scenes, and you've been trying to keep it private, you've been trying to figure them out or to see if it's got a chance, if it's something that is worth pursuing and kind of investing more of your time and energy into moving forward, Libras. At the time of the full moon, people might find out about you. So your relationship might be in the spotlight in some shape or form. I don't want to say it might be exposed, but to an extent, yes, it could feel like it is exposed in one way or another. Last but not least, I'm gonna say this. If you're dating anyone casually, and if you're not doing something specific to prevent it, there is a chance that there might be an unexpected pregnancy coming in. Just as an FYI. It doesn't have to, but it could come in. So just know that I've put it on your radar. That is Libra. My dear Scorpios, Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings. Let's see what's going on at the time of this full moon. 1st, 2nd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon is putting the spotlight on your health axis and work axis. Gotta tell you, you probably need to take a little bit of time to relax, sleep, especially Scorpio risings. Catch up on sleep. Catch up on the things that you've been pushing to the side or postponing, or that you haven't had the time to focus on when it comes to your home life, your family life, your relationship sector, when it comes to maybe spending time with your significant other or allocating more time to family members. So I believe that this could be a time when you take the focus a little bit off of your work and you're taking it more towards your private life. Now, there could be some things going on in your private life. I'm looking at family especially. Someone could go through a big crisis, and it might be your partner, it might be a parent, it could be either one of these. But they're going through a big crisis, by the looks of it, very, very likely, or a big transformation. Let's not throw in the crisis word, although I am gonna say it. This may feel like a crisis. So there's a big transformation underway. There's all sorts of feelings around it. Some of them quite mixed, some of them very hard to contain. What could you do at this point in time, my dear Scorpios? I feel like it's important to remind this person, whatever it is that they're going through, whatever it is that you find out, maybe they're experiencing a big loss. I would remind them that you love them. I would remind them that you're there for them. I would remind them that they can talk to you, because they probably can. And you are probably going to be immensely helpful by just kind of showing up. If you have in-laws, there is a chance that in-laws could also be going through a bit of a tough time. I will say, plans can change at the time of this full moon, especially plans connected with travel, plans connected with family in general. So anything that you had in mind, you're like, oh, we're going to go on this trip together, I don't know, in like May or something like that. The transformation that's happening close to home might have you revisit those plans. If you ask me, probably the best thing to do at the time of this full moon is to go with the flow. Not necessarily try to control or contain whatever is going on, because I don't even believe it's necessarily that much about you. I believe there's a lot of things that people in your life are going through. And of course, that also impacts you because they are important to you. But if you try to control and contain, it might make things more difficult for them. If you show up with empathy and compassion, which you have a tremendous amount of, Scorpios, that's probably going to make things a little bit better for people in your life. Maybe it's not going to change the situation, but maybe it is going to make things a little bit better. Now, there is also a chance that you might be focusing on your mental health at this point in time. You might not necessarily choose, however, to do that. It could be that something happens in your relationship with your partner, maybe in your relationship with a parent, and it triggers you. It's like, they say something, they remind you of something, they kind of pour salt inadvertently on one of your emotional wounds, and the floodgates are open, and maybe you feel like crying, maybe you feel like you can't take it anymore, but you're probably one of the strongest signs out there. You most certainly can take it. I'm like, not necessarily this situation. If you feel like opening up, if you feel like crying, if you feel like sharing something that has been very painful and difficult for you, by all means, do that. That's probably the only way in which people will know exactly how it is that you need to be supported. And last but not least, if you've been overdoing anything, if you've been overdoing the work, if you've been overdoing the working out, your health might be saying, hey, we are personifying your health. By the way, this is not medical advice. Please take the advice of your doctor in case anything does come up. This is pure entertainment, folks. Your health, if we were to personify it, might say, hey, just take a break. Just relax. Go out in the sunshine. Sit by the water. Go to the spa. So take it, Scorpios, if you can, I would recommend taking it a little bit easier. My dear Sagittarius, Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings. 1st, 2nd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. We've got a full moon in Libra. Activating your 11th house, 5th house axis. Okay. So Sagittarians, you are looking towards the future. And the thing is, you might be very emotional about the future. You might have all of these big hopes and dreams. You might dream a lot bigger than you've allowed yourselves to dream up until this point. And it may feel quite scary. It might feel quite scary, but that doesn't mean that the future cannot materialize in the absolute best way possible. I think you're taking stock of the people that you've got on your side. I think you might be having some important conversations with people who can help you achieve your goals for the future, who can help you achieve your vision for the future. You could also be talking to people that will be impacted by your plans for the future and say, hey, I've changed my mind. This is what I'm going to do. This is the direction in which I'm headed. Let's sit down and let's find a new way of working together, a new way of maybe living together, a new way of relating to each other. I do believe that your plans for the future may also change. And I think you're excited, but I think you're also a tiny little bit scared. And maybe, again, it's a tad overwhelming from an emotional perspective. Your plans for the future could also be changing in regards to your work. Now, your work seems to be doing pretty well, very well, dare I say. Have you heard of this concept, Sagittarians, of being afraid of winning? I don't know if this is something that only I have heard of. I mean, probably not, because I did not invent it, and neither did my parents who told me about this. So when I was young, I used to play tennis. And sometimes when you played with someone who was older than you, or on paper they were significantly better than you, sometimes you would kind of like play really well, and at one point you'd start maybe to like make unforced errors, make mistakes, etc. Because it was your subconscious kind of starting to sabotage the whole thing, because you were sort of subconsciously afraid of winning. It's like, if on paper I'm not supposed to be better than this person, then why am I winning? Why am I kind of scoring points and so on? So this small anecdote came in just to say, Sagittarians, don't be afraid of winning. You can win. It can happen. You can achieve your dreams. You can achieve your goals. Will that take a big leap of faith? Absolutely. Will it feel like you are almost kind of dying in the process? I know that sounds very dramatic, but sometimes when we are on the cusp of doing something very big, we feel a tremendous amount of resistance. Our subconscious is trying to keep us safe. Our mind is trying to keep us safe and say, no, maybe just don't do it. Just stay here, stay where you are. Why do you want something bigger and better and more exciting? And why do you want to fulfill your potential? Just be safe. Just be in control. Well, do not trust that little voice. To you, I say, Sagittarians, jump and talk to people. Talk to the people who can make things happen for you. Talk to the people who can help you. Talk to the people that need to hear from you, because they may be affected by the big decisions that you're taking. This is also a full moon that is putting the spotlight on your friends, on your communities, on your circles. if you are involved with any organizations, if you're a part of any organizations, this full moon is putting the spotlight on that as well. You may revisit your affiliation with certain organizations. You might decide to stop working with certain organizations. You might decide to be more active within certain communities and less active within other communities. I would not be surprised if you would also say goodbye to some friends, maybe because you're moving to a different place, especially job-wise. So if you have friends in the workspace, you could be saying goodbye to some work friends because you are, again, in the process of shifting things in that sector of your life. Is there a chance that a friend or maybe several friends might let you know about their big plans for the future? And you're like, oh no, how is that going to affect me on a day-to-day basis? Will I see less of you? Or why didn't you tell me a little bit sooner? Secrets are indeed going to be revealed, and you're probably going to have some mixed feelings around this. But ultimately, I think you're going to be supportive, and I think you're going to offer even practical help, let's say. What I can also tell you is that some work-related partnerships are probably going to change. Some for the better, some will probably be terminated, but only because you've got other more aligned partnerships that you are looking to prioritize. My dear Capricorns, Capricorn suns and Capricorn risings. 1st, 2nd of April, active. 3 days before, 3 days after, this full moon in Libra. I think it's actually going to be a really exciting time for you, Capricorns. I know, you might say, hey, Rux, the full moon is happening in a cardinal sign. Does that mean that it is basically squaring my sign? Yes, that is true. But I actually love the energy of this full moon because it looks like you're getting some major recognition from other people. Things are probably turning better than you thought they would turn out. It almost feels like anyone that you're interacting with around this time, in your career, in your relationship sector, maybe even in your family, they are seeing things in a much better light than you saw things. And you're taken aback and you're saying, oh my God, like, I did not know you were so happy, or I did not know that I had such a positive impact, or I did not think that I would get this promotion. So others see you in a very good light and they are ready to go above and beyond for you. This could be a big win from a professional perspective, so you might have something to celebrate from a professional perspective. It could be that something turns out, I repeat, a lot better than you thought it would turn out from a professional perspective, my dear Capricorns. Some of you could be stepping up career-wise. Some of you could be accepting or could be offered an important role that, once again, is a kind of big boost from a professional standpoint. There could be an offer of an important professional collaboration coming in. And again, to you, it may feel a tiny little bit too good to be true. I say, Capricorns, this is the time to leave the skepticism aside. It's like, leave it, like, put it aside, leave it behind. This person means very, very well, and they trust you and they believe in you. And yes, maybe they are a little bit on the overly optimistic side of the fence, but take it. That's what I say. Of course, you have free will. You can decide what you do with your lives. That would just be my recommendation and interpretation. You might also make a big announcement to the outside world regarding your relationship sector. So some of you could announce the fact that they are getting married, that they have gotten engaged, that maybe they're pregnant. Children can indeed be in the spotlight, and I do believe they could be a reason for celebration. You might also share with the world some sort of like big news, maybe together with a spouse connected with your children. I don't know, let's say you have older children and they're telling you you're about to become a grandparent. So that would be super exciting as well. So loads of changes, big shifts happening on the family front as well. Maybe also in connection with children and such. They seem to make you happy for the most part. Once again, maybe there is a cost element involved. So if if like a new child is coming in, or if you're announcing your engagement, of course, there's going to be some costs involved. But I think you can handle it. I absolutely think you can handle it, Capricorns. I almost believe you've sort of subconsciously been preparing for this. Last but not least, there is a possibility, if you're in a relationship, that a partner could have a major win from a professional perspective. Now, that major win could also alter your life as a family. So if your partner is offered a big job in another country, or you could be offered a big job someplace else, of course that would reverberate into how the whole family lives, and you may have to consider, what is the next step? Are you going to relocate? Are you going to sell your house? Are you going to rent? Who do you need to announce? So big decisions, but overall, this kind of like big energy of celebration, dare I say, Capricorns. Now let us move on to my fellow Aquarians, Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings. I'm an Aquarius sun. 1st, 2nd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. Aquarians, we've got a full moon in Libra, activating your 9th house, third house axis. What is this axis? It is the axis of traveling. So some of you could be physically traveling at this point in time. If you are traveling, you're probably traveling for work purposes, for business purposes. And I gotta tell you, it is probably gonna be a very successful journey, a very successful business trip indeed. Maybe you're scoring a big partnership. Maybe you are traveling to, I don't know, expand your business overseas. Maybe you are dealing with people who are based abroad. You don't necessarily have to physically travel. You could be dealing with people who are based abroad and maybe securing a new team member, or once again, strengthening the relationship with a team that is based in a different country, not the country that you operate from normally. I believe that you might also be working on, and it could be a little bit much, but it's a very busy time. So there's kind of like trips that need to be planned and booked, and travel that needs to happen, and work that needs to get done. You might also be working on something, not just from a professional perspective. You might be working on something connected with visa, citizenship, legal status, or maybe you are helping someone else deal with one of these areas. Maybe you're helping a family member apply for their foreign passport or something along those lines. I can tell you that they're a little bit stressed. I can also tell you that maybe it is a little bit more work than you thought it would be, but overall it will most likely be a successful endeavor. I think you're very happy with the way things are kind of functioning in the workspace at this point in time. However, I would be aware of the fact that you may need to manage people's expectations. So if you are kind of busy left, front, and center, and people keep on coming to you and saying, hey, help me with this, help me with that, you're so good at this, you may need to draw the line somewhere, because there's only one of you, Aquarius, and there's only so much that you can do. By the way, if you have a business, this could be the time to expand your team, just as an FYI. Maybe you're also kind of interviewing people and so on. Venus, which is the ruler of the full moon, is squaring Pluto. Do not hesitate, Aquarians. I know. We are independent souls. We like to do things our own way. But if you've got too much on your plate, do not hesitate to reach out to maybe a family member, maybe even an in-law. If you have in-laws, do not hesitate to reach out to them and ask for some help. Delegate something. Ask for some support. Give people the chance to take some things off your plate. If you don't say anything, then you might kind of, I don't want to say drown, because you're more than capable of dealing with things, but it might just feel like there's so much that you need to handle. So delegate if you can. Could you be traveling to connect with also maybe in-laws and other family members? Yes. Could other family members travel to meet with you and to kind of come into your home? Also yes. Is there a chance that you could turn things around when it comes to the relationship with a family member? Maybe a relationship that has been historically difficult. Yes, it is also very, very possible that this could happen around this time, my dear Aquarians. And now let us move on to Pisces. Pisces suns and Pisces risings. 1st, 2nd of April, active. 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a full moon in Libra squaring Jupiter. My beautiful Pisces, I think there are some exciting things going on in your life at the time of this full moon. I also think you may need to be a little bit more realistic about the amount of tasks that you can handle. So let me share what I'm seeing. I believe overall you're in a very good mood. You are excited to connect with people, to meet with people. You might be attending parties around this time. There could be some sort of a party or a celebration on your radar. If you have kids, then a child might come to you and say, "Oh, I've scored this big win," or "This is something that I want to do for my future," and you could be very, very happy for them. There could also be generally things going on with children, as in they're growing, you're noticing that they're going through a stage of like transformation. Sometimes it can feel very emotional. They could be in a very emotional state. They might sometimes be in a very vulnerable state, but overall you're very proud of them and you're looking at them and you're watching them and you're like, wow, things are really evolving very, 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 very fast. But speaking of children, whatever is going on with kids, if you have kids, I can tell you, they might come to you with a request, specifically a financial request. If you say yes to it now, make sure that they know you will not say yes to this request over and over and over and over and over again. So you may feel like being extra generous at this point in time, but make sure that you do not necessarily set a precedent, or make sure that you tell them this is not going to happen forevermore from now on. There is also a possibility that someone might try to surprise you. Who is it? You might think, Pisces. Someone might try to surprise you with a nice gesture. It's probably a romantic partner. Or if it's not a romantic partner, although I see that as being very, very likely, it could be someone that loves you, someone that has very, very strong feelings for you, that maybe wants to show you how grateful they are for the fact that you exist in their life. They might surprise you by maybe purchasing something very big, like a very significant and expensive gift. I think that on the one hand, you're sort of moved. On the other hand, you might be thinking, oh God, this must have cost like an absolute fortune. So if that is the case, maybe give them the reassurance that they need to hear, that they don't have to do this all the time. They don't have to go kind of like overboard all the time. This can generally be a very romantic time. I am gonna say, to me, it looks like someone has very strong feelings towards you. Now, it is most likely reciprocated, but sometimes it's not. If you are dating anyone and it's just sort of new and maybe quite casual, and you realize that they are falling for you, but you are not falling for them, or maybe you're not ready to take that leap of faith just yet, make sure that you talk about it. Make sure that they know, so that you are totally and completely honest. Don't just lead them on because it feels good to be sort of loved and adored, so to speak. Also, this is a very good time to talk about money. Like, I'm jumping from one thing to the other, but a lot of things can happen at the same time, Pisces. Someone once commented, it's like, oh, stop trying to give so many examples. I'm like, no, that is the point of astrology. So astrology is symbolic. It's a symbolic archetypal language. It tells us where the energies are kind of like being focused from a cosmic perspective, what we're drawn to, what we're experiencing at a collective level, but it doesn't predict concrete material manifestation. It doesn't tell us, oh, this person is going to have spaghetti for dinner. No, it doesn't tell us that. Which is why I believe that examples are super, super, super important. So to the person that said, stop giving so many examples, I'm like, maybe you don't need them, but maybe other people can benefit from them. So money is also very much in the spotlight here. You may need to talk about money with a romantic partner or with a child, or with, let's see, who else? There could be other people as well. Maybe a parent, potentially a parent also, but most likely a child or a romantic partner. If you've been hiding anything from them from a financial perspective, not because there is anything going wrong for you financially, but just because you didn't necessarily feel comfortable disclosing it, it could be a good time to disclose it. Maybe they've kept something from you from a financial perspective. They might disclose it to you also. Could it be a little bit of an awkward conversation if it is a conversation around money? Yes. Will it affect the relationship with this person? I don't believe so, but I think they once again might need some extra reassurance of the fact that they can trust you and that you're going to empathize with them and that you're not going to run away. Last but not least, Pisces risings especially, pay your credit cards, pay your taxes, and like, not that I need to tell you what to do, and make sure that if you are like, this is me being a very Saturnian person. If you are in a position where you're covering off debts at this point in time, which you might be, which is fantastic, right? Maybe make sure that you do not follow the patterns that have not served you in this regards in the past. I said it. I've just put it out there. Folks, I want to thank you once again for tuning in for your full moon in Libra update. Let us know in the comments how this full moon plays out for you. And if my content is useful, if it's helpful, don't forget to like, share it with your friends, give it a thumbs up, comment if you have the time, give me feedback. Please share also your experiences with the previous, well, not the previous, but the new moon in Libra that actually happened in October of 2025. If you remember, since this full moon is kind of that energy coming full circle. If you're active on Instagram and on TikTok, but I'm less active on TikTok, I'm mostly active on Instagram. My Instagram handle is ruxunbelievable. Ruxunbelievable in one word. Give me a follow. And if you want to work with me, remember, folks, that you can do that via my website, which is written in the stars-astrology.com. As always, it is a pleasure to be here, to be your astrologer of choice. Thank you, and I will see you next time.